They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
Okay, so I'm here with Garrett from Fantasy News and Brews. We're going to go through and hopefully be making a lot of fantasy basketball content for y'all this year. Now, sadly, I am not smart enough with fantasy basketball to be able to carry this ship on my own. I am an idiot when it comes to fantasy basketball. That's why we have Garrett here who knows what he's talking about. Thank God. So yeah, we're going to go through and talk about some of our favorite players that we can be targeting in drafts this year. I mean, make sure you drop a like on the video if you want to see more content. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and tell Garrett the dumbest thing you said, because we're going to say a lot of dumb things throughout this entire process. How are you doing, Garrett?
Good. How you doing? Yeah. I'm definitely early in the season, it's really tough. You can really only project based on where these guys are, who's playing around them, and if you think they're going to take the jump to that next level. So I'm sure some of these things that I say are not going to be that great, but hopefully they will help your team and get you to the championship. Fingers crossed.
Awesome. Well, Garrett, lead us off with your first guy.
Sure. So I'm going to go in order. So basically what I'm looking at here is the ESPN head-to-head categories rankings. I'm going to keep it strictly head-to-head for these videos just because that's the most common platform that people play. So starting off with my first favorite guy, it has to be a no-brainer at this point because it's Bradley Beal at number 13. So if we're looking at Bradley Beal last year, he had 31 points per game. That's insane. That's the second most points per game out of everyone in the NBA. He's going to have to carry the ship. They don't really have many other pieces by him. I mean, they have Dinwiddie, Aaron Holiday, KCP. Like, none of those guys are going to carry the load. The Wizards, unless Bradley Beal gets traded, which, he's been a trade rumor for like 7 years now. I don't think he's moving. I think that he's going to be on the Wizards, and I think he's going to be the only one scoring pretty much. I mean, I do like Dinwiddie, but I don't think that he's a star like Beal is. So Beal at 13 seems like a no-brainer to me. If you look at 12, 11, 10, that's Tatum, Trae Young, Bam. I would take Beal over all those guys. And if you're in a league with like 10 players and you can get Beal in the second round, that would be insane. And that's pretty much a league winner right there, in my opinion.
I know that's what I'm pulling it up right now on #basketball.com. This is my go-to website if we're trying to do anything fantasy basketball, because I just focus in on football. So I just have to go to their projections 9 times out of 10. I've had a lot of success. At least I had a lot of success last year with their projections. And if I pull it up, they actually have Bradley Beal as the 7th player. And honestly, I think I'm looking at this as a category league as well. So if they have Bradley Beal as the 7th player for category, I'd imagine that you probably want him a little bit higher as well in an overall points league, just knowing that in the category format, you're going to be placing a greater emphasis on getting like assists, and in a points league, that doesn't matter nearly as much. And instead, you're going through, and right now they're projecting Bradley Beal for 32 points a game. And if I'm looking across this entire list, I mean, the other projections that I'm seeing that are cracking 30 points per game, I mean, Stephen Curry at 30.7, and that's it. I mean, after that, you have Jokic at 27.8, Damian Lillard at 27.9, but nobody's coming close to that 32 number for Bradley Beal. And obviously, if you're playing in a points format, I mean, Bradley Beal would be someone that is very advantageous if we can hit that raw number of points, for lack of better terms. But yeah, I think that's great. What do you have for next?
Yeah. So next, and this is actually one of my favorite sleepers. It's actually SGA. SGA at 33 seems like a complete no-brainer to me. The Thunder don't really have anybody else who's going to be scoring. They have a bunch of young dudes. I like Dort. I like a couple of those other guys, but they want SGA to carry the load. They're not going to be feeding the ball to Theo Meldon or Trey Mann or Josh Giddey right off the bat. These are all young dudes who need to grow into themselves. SGA already proved he's, pretty much a star at this point. He has a great shot at actually making the All-Star game, in my opinion, depending on how bad or good the Thunder can do. But I mean, last year he averaged almost 24 points per game, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. And I mean, looking at those numbers, this is a dude who was 22 last year for the majority of the season. So he's turning 23. This dude's only going to go up. His role in the team is probably going to go up since he's their only star that the Thunder are kind of working with here. So him at 33 seems like a complete no-brainer. I would take him over LaMelo. I mean, you got Zion. That's a tough call at 30. 29, you got Fred VanVleet. I'm taking SGA over him all day. And I mean, even if you look at these guys above him, like even Zach LaVine, they have DeMar DeRozan now. Like the roles are not as clear on a lot of these guys above him. While in SGA, it's clear. He's the guy. So I'm rocking with him if I can in my leagues.
So a big thing is like just the direction of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, obviously they shut him down at the end of last year, and everybody and their mom knew, like even, I mean, Adam Silver knew that he was getting shut down just so the Oklahoma Thunder came out and lost some basketball games to try to get a better pick. So one thing is, do you think they're going to be any more competitive this season? Obviously, they still have a ton of future assets, but if they cash in on some of those 2020 picks in this year's draft class, are they going to be willing to go through and instead possibly just ride it out? I mean, if he does see one of these nagging injuries, are they going to shut him down as they did last year, or are they going to actually try to at least sniff the playoffs this year?
They're not going to sniff the playoffs unless they can somehow put all their draft picks on the floor and play basketball with them, which I don't see them doing. I don't think that they're going to trade too many of them. I think right now their goal is to just try to figure out. I mean, it's the same way that they built last time, right? They got KD in Seattle and then moved to OKC. I think they're trying to do something similar where they're looking for that true superstar potential. And I mean, they were in all of the trade rumors this year for the draft picks. They didn't move up really. They didn't really get anyone who's a solidified superstar. You know, I like Josh Giddey, but I don't think he's going to be much this year anyways for fantasy purposes. So I think that they're going to hold tight. I think that they're going to hold their draft picks. And I think that they're just going to see what they have in SGA. Like, obviously, if an injury occurs and they're in dead last in the West, which is a complete possibility, they might rest him because they don't want to lose their biggest asset. But at the same time, they want him to flourish so that they can potentially trade him for a bigger asset or even see if he can develop into that superstar. We don't know yet with SGA. I mean, he's looked incredible so far. So.
Yeah, and a quick side note is going to my little cheat sheet here on #basketball.com with their projections. They do have him projected for the 20th best player this year, and you're saying that he's going at pick 33. So, I mean, that seems like a great value.
Yeah, and actually, I don't even have this website that you're looking at. I'm looking strictly at what I did was last night. I just looked at ESPN's rankings, and I'm going through and looking at guys that I'm like, wow, that's way too low.
Yeah,
so, I'm glad that you're. Yeah, I'm glad your website's lining up with my thoughts.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hear the next guy.
All right. So next guy, he's coming in at 39. That's Ja Morant. I really like Ja this season. I think that he's also, another young dude. I think he's going to take another step up. He only averaged almost 20 points per game, sitting at 19.1 points per game, 7.4 assists per game. I think all those numbers are going up. They got Jarrett Culver. I don't think he's going to move the needle too much. Chris Dunn, I mean, that's a good backup, but they, again, similar to the Thunder, I mean, the Grizzlies are in a better position, but they want their young guy to succeed. And Ja is that guy. I mean, I saw a stat the other day that he has the most points in a playoff game out of anyone who's under the age of 22. And it was like 47 points in a playoff game or something like that. This guy only got better towards the end of the season. I think that he's only going to get better this season. And I think that he's going to be, especially sitting, 39, he's going to be a star. I mean, at 37, they have DeAndre Ayton. I'm taking Ja over him all day. At 36, they have Tobias Harris. Jaylen Brown, even I might take Ja over. Drew Holiday. Like, these are all, like, especially Drew Holiday at 34. Like, these are all guys that I'm going to, jump up and take Ja over.
Yeah, so I think that's a good call. I mean, if you're looking up, he's literally younger than I am, which is just crazy to think about. So you'd imagine that he continues to get better. And a big thing is, I will say that I think with Ja Morant, it probably comes down to knowing the format that you're in. Like you said, you're going through and making this list for a points league. And I'll say with Ja Morant, I think he's probably a lot less appealing for a category league, knowing that the field goal percentage and the free throw percentage, neither are going to be great. And he's going to give you nothing defensively. But yeah, I think that just assist and points alone, I mean, for a head-to-head points league, I think that would be perfect.
Well, even, I mean, look at his postseason versus his regular season. It jumped from 45 up to 49. Like, I think that this guy hasn't taken all of his steps yet. I think he's a superstar in the making, and I could see him jumping up. I mean, even his three-point percentage jumped up 2% in the postseason. I think that he can make that step. And I mean, that's kind of what we're doing here, is kind of making those projections. Who do you think will step it up? And I think he will. I like him a lot. I watched him. I'm not a Grizzlies fan. I do not support the Grizzlies whatsoever. No hate, no love for them. But man, I love watching Ja play. He's so fun to watch.
Awesome. Well, do you have anybody else for us here?
Yeah, I got one more guy, and I'm gonna put it out there that I am super biased with this one. I think I'm a Pistons fan, but I do think that Jeremy Grant is kind of a steal with where he's going. He's going at 87. I think that's really low for the team's number one option. I mean, I know that they just got Cade Cunningham, but honestly, Cade Cunningham is more of a distributor than a scorer. So I think him being on the court is actually going to help Jeremy Grant. I'm not taking guys like Dennis Schroeder, Jalen Suggs, Porzingis, probably Harrison Barnes. These are all guys going above him that I'm not taking over him. I'm going to jump for Jeremy Grant. I mean, he's Pistons' number one option. He's a baller. I mean, last season he averaged 22 points, almost 5 rebounds and almost 3 assists, and getting someone that late at 87 with the potential upside, I like him there.
I'm not going to lie. This is my first time. Obviously, I focused in on fantasy basketball a ton last year. This is my first time really even thinking about it for this season. I was expecting Jeremy Grant to be a lot higher than this. Like based on what he did last year, based on how we were having to talk about him every single week, I was imagining that he was going to be higher. I mean, if I'm pulling up the projections from hashtag basketball, they have him as the 68th player. And it's not like he's just some player that's great for category, not great for points. No, I mean, the field goal percentage isn't going to be there because he plays in Detroit. I mean, Detroit, doesn't necessarily have to worry about too many shooters on the outside or anything. So I think that for a points league, yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, you could easily see him going over 20 points a game again. And obviously that'd be fantastic.
I'd be pretty shocked if he went below 20 points based on how horrible Detroit is. I mean, hey, Detroit's getting better. I'm a Detroit Pistons fan, but Jeremy Grant's still going to have to carry the load at this point.
Awesome. Well, do you have anything else to round out this video other than dropping that like, subscribing, and telling us how stupid we are in the comments?
Yeah, let us know how bad we messed up once the season's going. Feel free to hit, Fantasy News and Bruises, myself and Johnny. Feel free to hit us up on Twitter. You can find us, and we'll answer questions. Our DMs are always open. So if you have a question or you're stuck between guys, please hit us up, and we'll try to help you out.